Blake Shelton has finally stopped at age 48. Saying that the rumors that have been going on for years after all there is talk that the country music star is fans have never seen them open up in this way guessed, what was behind his shocking confession. Come with us as we look at Blake Shelton's newest song The Roots Grow and Relationships Form. Roots rise and relationships are revealed. The story of Blake Shelton starts born in the small town of Ada, Oklahoma. On June 18, 1976 he grew up in a small, close-knit neighborhood where everyone knew their people lived nearby, and time moved more slowly. Move along with his parents. Dorothy and Richard Shelton had a simple life. Dorothy ran a beauty shop, and Richard bought and sold cars. They were never musicians, but they encouraged Blake's love of music from Blake showed signs of he was good at music and loved to sing. Interested in country music, which was a big part of life in Oklahoma, but it was his uncle who made his life better. Blake was 12 years old when his uncle that taught him how to play the guitar. A gift changed everything for Blake. Regular practice will help you learn how to put chords and melodies together, and soon Blake began writing his own songs. Playing at fairs and events because of his voice and charm. Favorite, he got along well with others even when he was only 15. He wrote his first song, and by age 16 he had already won the Deanbo Diamond Award, which is a great honor. Oklahoma performers under the age of 18. Everyone around him could see that he had something exciting. After Blake knew when he graduated from high school he had to do something big if he wished to make his love of music a real job, so when he was only 17, moved to Nashville from home. Nashville was the center of it was country music, and a lot of artists who were hopeful went to chase there. Blake didn't have many dreams. He only had his save some money and a lot of determined that city life in Nashville wasn't easy at first, but Blake had a hard time like most new people. He did odd jobs and wrote songs during the day and did his work wherever he could get to the stage he was trying to reach. Noticed in a field full of talented people, singers, but Blake wouldn't give up. Don't give up, even when things got hard. He finally got a job at a music store. He was helped by a publishing company make friends and get better at that hard work. Writing songs finally paid off when Giant Records saw his and got him signed to a recording deal. Contract in 2001, Blake let go of his Austin's first single. The song was a sad ballad about a lover who has died. Second Chances. It hit home with people and became a big hit right away. Austin stayed on top of the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart for 5 weeks, which is a huge step forward for a debut single. After the success of Austin, Blake put out his first album, called Blake Shelton. The album had songs like All Over Me and Old Red. Both did a good job and helped establish his fame in the world of country music. Fans loved how deep and emotional his voice was. Because of how honest his lyrics were, Blake didn't. Rather than trying to be flashy, he stuck to his roots that set him apart. While Blake was getting a lot of work, personal life was also changing at the same time. For this time, he married his longtime lover Ket Williams. Kettle had been with Blake before he became well known. They met in Ada, Oklahoma, when they were both young, and she was there for him through it all. The good and bad times in his early career. Trust was what held them together, and a love for the easy life they had grown up with. In 2003, Blake was married in a small ceremony. Getting better known, but he was still getting by in the music business. She was there for him through it all. Kept him grounded and gave him help as he got used to life on the road and in the public eye. But as Blake's fame grew, so did the number of. During his job, he spent more and more time traveling and putting on concerts. He did interviews and promoted his music. The long breaks and the fast-paced living a bad life began to hurt their wedding. Ket, who had been he found parts of every step of his journey herself by herself more often than Blake's plans got busier. Blake has been open how hard things were for them in interviews. He talked about how the pressures of his job made it hard for them to stay with relationships strong even though as people try to stay together, the stress was too much. In 2006, after 3 years of marriage, Blake and Ket split up. People often remember the story as the start of a man who would go on to become one of the biggest names in country music now. Let's look at Blake's being close to Miranda Lambert and how their love became one of the most talked about country music. Putting together Miranda Lambert and the rise of the life of Blake Shelton was taken by a power couple. His life took a big turn when he met Miranda. Lambert. Their story began in 2005, the concert for the CMT 100 Greatest Duets when Blake was married to Ket Williams and Miranda were still young. They were up-and-coming country singers teamed up to sing the classic duet "You're the Reason Why God Made Oklahoma." What took place on stage that night was more than just a show, it was the beginning. The later admission of something big by Blake in talks that he felt a spark right, he knew it was far away, but tricky Miranda also said she felt something unique during that, not because of performance but because of Blake's marriage didn't go anywhere at the overtime, they kept in touch. In 2006, their friendship grew stronger over time. Blake split up with Ket, and soon after he started going out with Miranda. The relationship quickly caught the fans and the media alike. Were country music stars on the rise. Blake was already well known, and Miranda was getting more attention for her. She had bold songs and a strong voice. Her first album, Kerosene, came out in 2005, and it was a big hit since the beginning, going to award shows together, the press, at concerts and on red carpets. They were called the king and queen of country for fans. They looked like an ideal match for both of them. Were country through and by, being honest, talented, and deeply linked to their roots. They even worked together musically to support each other's jobs and sharing the stage. That they got along was often clear to everyone who saw them together, during live shows or interviews. Shows as their relationship grew, so did their fame. Miranda put out a hit after being hit by gunpowder and Lead the House Where My Mama and I Lived. Broken Heart. Blake became a coach on The Voice in 2011, which put him in the each week in the homes of millions of viewers, made him even more well-known despite because of their busy schedules. They continued to spend time with each other and seemed to have a strong bond. In May 2011, after 5 being together for years, Blake and Miranda got married. The wedding took place at a ranch in Texas with lots of family, and Miranda, one of her best friends, wore her mother's the wedding dress, and the whole day had a laid-back country vibe. Both of their dreams came true. A lot when they talked about their love and how they made things work with the difficulties of their jobs, but what was going on behind the scenes wasn't always easy. Fame can be a lot of work, and the being in public all the time puts pressure on people. I hurt their relationship. Blake and Miranda were both very busy and travel in the opposite direction. Information on how to get to tours and TV shows more and more. It was hard to spending quality time together. Rumors also started to spread. Tabloids had stories about things that were going on, about problems with trust and having an affair on both sides, but none of them confirmed anything. Some reports said their ways of life were beginning to clash. Blake liked living in Los Angeles as they filmed The Voice, while Miranda liked living in a quieter, more rural area in Oklahoma or Nashville on her farm. These differences made things tense. Even though they tried to make things work, Blake and Miranda said when they split up in July 2015, the news, it shocked fans and made headlines. When they spoke together, they said, "This is not the future we hoped for, and it is with heavy hearts, we move on. Only separately." The sentence was short, but it showed they had tried to split up. Thank you for your time after the divorce. Blake and Miranda talked about their feelings in different ways. Their music in different ways, like Miranda's album, The Weight of These Wings, showed the breakups she went through with songs. Blake, that was honest and sad. If I'm Honest came out, which also talked about pain, getting better, and changes. Music was a way for him to do both of them, to talk about the breakup and get over it. What they had to say about Gwen Stefani. The Gwen Stefani pop 3 icons. Gwen Stefani has always stood out in the music world and style. She began as the lead singer of the band No Doubt, which was formed in the late 1980s. The band had a rough start to get ahead, but that changed from 1995's Tragic Kingdom. The album had hits like Don't Speak, and Gwen became well known after Just a Girl. Call her by her strong voice and bold style. Without a doubt, the emotional lyrics helped connect. After years of having fans all over the world of success with the band, Gwen made the choice she began her solo to try something new with the album Love Angel in 2004. It was a big hit, music baby with the album, and included #1 singles like Backup Girl and Rich Girl. Her solo, the music sounded different, it was more pop dance, but it still had her touch. Not only for her music did she become famous, but also for the way she dresses, launched her own line of clothes called Louisiana MB, which showed how bold and colorful she was. Style. She was more than just a singer. Gwen set a lot of trends in the early 2000s. Personal life was also in the news. In 2002, she got married to Gavin Rossdale and is the lead singer of the rock band The Band. That their relationship brought them together. Two big stars from various people in the music business were often called because they are rock stars and style. They looked like a strong pair juggling music careers with having the same love for family and privacy. Gavin and Gwen had 3 sons together: Kingston, Zuma and Apollo. Gwen hung out a lot. Talked about how much she loved being a mom. Even though she has a busy job, she made time for her. Watch out for kids and their privacy. Fans admired how she managed to be a mother and music, and how she always put her family first. For a long time, Gwen and Gavin, it looked like one of the most stable in the entertainment business. They kept most of their relationship a secret and stayed out of the trouble that a lot focuses on celebrity couples. But in 2015 the end of their marriage came as a surprise. Gwen asked for a divorce, and soon after it was made public what the reason was: that Gavin had been cheating on his wife. Said he slept with her for a long time. Nanny for the family. The news shocked people and hurt Gwen a lot. She later said in interviews that she felt caught off guard and sad and hurt. It was a hard time, even more so because she was paying attention on taking care of her young children and keeping up her career. The divorce was done in 2016 and Gwen was open. Think about how hard that was. Kind of private pain in the public eye, but she did what she had always done. In 2016, she used music to help her get better. Her album This Is What the Beat Was, Truth Feels Like, which had songs on it that showed the pain she was feeling, felt that the lyrics were honest, and their fans felt like they had a big way. Even though her marriage was over, moving forward showed that Gwen was strong and being there for her still. With her kids, she stayed busy with music, made TV appearances and stayed a fashion icon. For how strong she is during such a tough time made many even more people admire her. Crossing, seeing each other on The Voice paths. On The Voice by 2014, both Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani lived together, but they came from very different places. Parts of the music business. Blake, the country music star, had built his years of hard work to get his job, breakups and hit songs. Gwen on the other hand was a famous pop and rock singer for her time, without a doubt, and her Brave alone that year. Their paths crossed in a way that no one saw coming. On the set of The Voice on NBC, Gwen became a coach on The Voice in 2014, taking the place of Christina Aguilera. Blake had already been a coach since the start of the show in 2011. At first, it looked like they would be in. He was the country guy with an odd pair of shoes, with boots and a chill vibe. She was the rock star with a tough look and high fashion, but from the start putting in work together. There was unique about the way they worked together on screen. They talked in a fun and lighthearted way. They made fun of each other and laughed a lot. They made the show fun and playful. Fans picked up on their link. It was clear they got along. But at the time, most people thought it added to the show's charm. But what people didn't see was what was going on behind the scenes. Blake and Gwen were leaving in silence. Blake had been through his own heartbreak. Finalized his split from Miranda Gilbert in July 2015. Gwen had just Gavin, her husband of 13 years, Rossdale. Finalized their split in August 2015. Things had changed for them upside down, and they were both trying to figure out how to move forward while still living in the public eye. As they started to spend time together on set, talk about being honest with each other, having to go through the pain of divorce and just how hard it was to stay strong, for they shared their families and jobs. Through experiences, they became very close. Afterward, Gwen said in interviews that one of the only people who knew Blake was who really got where she was going through, and Blake admitted that it wasn't because Gwen helped him get better. They were no longer just co-workers, they had become friends and confidants who offered each other help during one of the hardest times. There have been times in their lives when things started to happen between friends. More by the fall of 2015, rumors began to spread to swirl. Fans saw how close they were, looked like they were on and off camera at the same time. Early in November, Blake heard the news. Shelton and Gwen Stefani were married. A representative for Gwen confirmed the ding. the relationship, and all of a sudden the couple was all over the news. In interviews and social media posts show how people are reacting shocked and interested at the same time. On paper, Blake and Gwen didn't look like the most obvious pair, but the younger, more people who saw them together helped them keep their relationship going. Two real people who found each other just when they needed each other, needed someone who really got it in their pain. The news media called them, and unless Blake and Gwen are a surprise match, it made perfect sense that they were connected. Were going through the same heartbreaks and they helped each other get better, but their love didn't begin with glamour. It began with true friendship and going through the same problems, and that made it even better. The relationship between them also brought a new fans of The Voice who watched not only for the talent, but also to see Blake and Gwen talk to each other. They weren't shy about with each other. As time went on, they posted cute pictures and went to events together and even worked together. Love under the microscope. Musically, love is under the microscope when two known people like Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani get back together, especially after there's no avoiding divorces that are very public. The center of attention from the start of their people in the relationship had questions, thoughts and feelings about Blake, and when Gwen had to deal with public pressure, she a part of their everyday lives. Especially at the start of the rumors and speculation around them before he started dating her. Shelton was already with Gwen. Blake familiar with how tabloids work talk about her while his marriage to. There were rumors about Miranda Lambert that Blake had cheated on his wife, but neither of them have ever publicly confirmed certain details. The news headlines wouldn't stop. These charges followed him into his getting together with Gwen when Blake. They told everyone they were dating in late 2015, just a few months after both of their divorces. The time brought the media started to look into eyebrows because of Blake's past. Old rumors of cheating and making it seem like his new relationship may have been similar to the end of his marriage. These suggestions led to more media attention and painted Blake again as someone who might have hurt in his ex-girlfriend. While there was no strong evidence to back up the cheating claims, when Blake spoke, the conversation didn't end. And Gwen were seen together. There were many people were wondering if the relationship began before either of they had officially broken up with their spouses. While Blake dealt with Gwen, asked him about his past. She had to deal with her own problems as the new woman in Blake's life. Some people say called her the other woman. Even her own marriage to Gavin Rossdale had stopped before she and Blake got married together, even though there was no clear proof that Gwen had something to do with Blake's divorce. She became someone the public judged. This was especially hard for Gwen. People had always thought of her as strong, a stylish and well-liked person in both the fashion and music worlds. All of a sudden her name was getting dragged into foul. I liked her stories and how she was questioned what people thought about if she had anything to do with why Blake they broke up, even though Gwen had been through her own heartbreak at almost the same time. Instead of letting the media tell their own story, Blake and Gwen began to take charge of their story. That's where social media helped. They would post funny pictures, videos and real-life events from their days, not staged. Real fans really did see Blake having fun with Gwen's kids or the two people singing together from their home. And okay, these posts helped people see that theirs wasn't just a sales pitch stunt, but it brought them together in real life. Based on shared trust, get to know a relationship based on a relationship built on making things right. Forgiveness for Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani didn't just fall in love, found peace after each had left public divorces that were painful for them. It turned into something much deeper. It was more than just love, it was about learning and emotional support for growth, how to get them to trust each other again. They were both given a second chance, not only in love, but also in life after they split up. Both Blake and Gwen were going through a lot of emotional pain. Blake was just getting off of a very public wedding to Miranda Lambert. Gwen had just ended her long-term relationship, being close to Gavin Rossdale, the father of her 3 kids. For both of it seemed like everything had been turned upside down. In interviews, Blake talked about how lost he was after he said he didn't know how he could get a divorce. Wasn't going to give up until Gwen, when she came into his life. Gwen saying that she was heartbroken and having a hard time until she started to open up. Blake thought they were both hurting, but they didn't hide it. Instead, they talked about it. They paid attention to each other, and that helped them get better over time. They were building something strong. Being careful not to rush into anything too quickly, but they gave each other the room and help they need to rebuild trust. Gwen put Blake in touch with her kids, slowly making sure it felt good, and Blake hugged his new job with patience and care, and it strengthened their bond even more. Relationship just naturally led to their in 2019, they put out music called Nobody But You, a duet that showed how deep of their link, which the lyrics talked about picking each other even though they don't want to live without each other. It wasn't just, it was a love song, and their story hit in both country and pop charts, and people loved how honest it felt. After that came Happy Happy Anywhere in 2020, another duet that showed who they really were. The song sang